I head up Colliers, basically our appraisal division here in Ottawa. I've been a practicing appraiser for about 10 years. I do everything, or I've done everything from single-family residential to billion-dollar office buildings across Canada. So I've sort of experience with a wide variety of assets across Canada. So this is us. Colliers, our company, does commercial real estate services, every aspect of it. So project management, property management, valuation advisory, brokerage, leasing, everything. So I personally am the director of the Valuation Advisory Services Division here in Ottawa. Our primary function is commercial real estate appraisal. So that's anything 4 units and above. So that's multi-residential, 4 units and above, office, industrial, retail, residential land, agricultural land, anything, just not houses, or 3 units. So commercial real estate appraisal, market rent analysis, that's establishing market rents for retail, commercial, industrial properties. One thing that might benefit you guys, property tax advisory and appeal. So we function as basically an advocate for property tax appeal services. So if you feel you're over-assessed on a property or not fairly assessed, not equitably assessed, you can come talk to us. We can give you some advice, but it's a contingency basis. So unless we save you money, it doesn't cost you. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Why do you Colliers? So I'm Master Market Knowledge. We're Canada's largest commercial real estate services provider. So we have great market data on every asset in Ottawa. We have our market reports over there. Feel free to grab a copy. Gives an overview of every transaction that occurred last quarter. We do it every quarter, as well as an overview of what's happening in the market for all asset classes. So our reports are accepted generally by every lender in Ottawa. There's no lender who won't accept our reports. But if you have any questions, you have a specific private lender, feel free to call me and ask. Why use us as well? We're faster, cheaper, better than our competitors. We've committed to offering the cheapest price to Oreio members here in Ottawa, and our turnarounds are pretty quick. We're pretty efficient companies, so we can get stuff done in 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
So, guys, if you want to find him out, he's actually going to be at that table in the back, but then he'll come over here during the break later on. Okay, who's up next? Scott, come on up. And for those of you who haven't bought your tickets yet for the raffle for a whole year's membership, you can tackle Cedric. Okay, just tackle him. He likes that. Where's Cedric? He's not even here.
There he is. Perfect. He's hiding.
If anyone wants tickets, put up your hands now. Okay.
So let me talk to you just briefly about Ryan Malfara. You may have read when he came here on our website, a little promotion there that Ryan's an athlete, but he's much more than that. So Ryan, he's an accomplished business owner, he's a fundraiser, and he's a marketer. He's also a coach, consultant, and an entrepreneur. One of Ryan's many notable achievements is a rare accomplishment indeed. And in 2011, Ryan won the Polar Race, and this is a track of over 650 kilometers over sea ice and Arctic islands, starting from Nunavut and finishing at the magnetic North Pole. So there's no dogs to help pull the sled. Each participant has to haul their own 150-pound sled with all the gear that they need to endure a grueling 4-week trek. Now, after only 23 days, however, some of those temperatures of minus 40 degrees Celsius, Ryan and his team claimed the 2011 Blue Ice Trophy.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan,
There goes my talk. I'm done. I won the race. The punchline's over. I'm sorry.
So Ryan's devoted much of his time to understanding the mental component that makes his physical challenges, his physical feats possible. And he uses this knowledge in his business and his personal life, and instills a winning mindset in those he coaches. Over the past several years, Ryan has raised enormous sums for charity by pushing himself in a number of physical challenges. He also runs a leading seminar company and brings a diverse breadth of experience and achievement to everything he does. And if you'll just join me in watching this short little video.
Then I made up lines. You made up your line of business.
He is one of the wisest people I know. He has that ability to look into your life, into your soul, into your business, and find the tiniest correction that will make the biggest impact on your life. Like when you're driving north in a powerboat and you want to go south, you don't go like this or you'll capsize. You just go like this. In America, you move your hands half an inch. In the rest of the world, you move your hands a centimeter. And within a few seconds, you're going 100% in the other direction. He has that skill. So I'm honored to introduce a brilliant young man, a dear friend of mine, a polar racer. There's only a few in the world, and 2 of them are in this room. Please welcome Ryan Malfara.
To command the attention of the world. I want you to recognize that you have the ability to do it. We just need to do it in an uncommon way. Life is fun, business is fun, and the more fun you have at it, the more success you're going to have.
Standing here at the North Pole, and our plane is coming in.
When you're racing to the North Pole or when you're racing in life, the best way to do it is to find a leader who is going to clear that path for you and stick as close behind them as you possibly can. In order to take action, I need to inspire others to make sure they hold me accountable. So what did I do? I picked up the phone and I called up the charity and I said, I'm going to raise the money for you. In fact, I'm going to raise $10,000 for you. I'm going to cycle from Thunder Bay to Toronto. Here we go. There is nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. You've made up your mind that business is tough, that I'm not worthy of a success of that magnitude, I don't have the right support team, I don't have enough money. When you make up your mind to something, that's it. You're stuck in it. And it's going to take somebody else to shift you, to pull you, to rise you up to that next level.
Okay, so I noticed when you gave the applause, it's the first time I've used that video, it's brand new, so I noticed when you gave the applause, so I'm going back to my editors now and saying, wrong spot. You can't introduce me halfway through the video, it just does not work. Anyways, so, hi, how are you? Great. Okay, so half the room's doing all right. We're gonna have fun. Okay, I'm going to share with you a few experiences that I've had along the way. A couple of you I've seen before. They're bowing their heads. They're like, again, we got to see them again. But anyways, I've been fortunate enough to push myself, challenge myself, to go out there to do things that some wouldn't try and accomplish. And as a result, I've been able to succeed at a higher level than I think I would have otherwise. I'm going to pull this out of the way because I move around a lot and I'm going to find myself walking into it or behind it and it's just weird. Sorry. Done. Okay, I've done this once or twice. I can tell if there's 2 microphones on, it's not going to be fun for you guys. You're going to hear that buzzing and it's actually not going to be fun for me. So, let me paint the picture for you first. We've heard about the polar race. It's a 650-kilometer foot race to the North Pole. The warmest temperature was -20. You guys live in Ottawa, you're saying -20, that's nothing. That's what we experience every day. No big deal. Coldest temperature was -100 though. Not something to think about, right? So, we had 2 days of -100. 100-kilometer-an-hour winds. It was cold, let me just tell you, you know. And I paid money to suffer like that. I don't know what I was thinking. I started out sort of, if you will, in high school, right, as most people start out, right? And I was a swimmer, and so that was my life, was swimming, and every sort of moment either went to swimming or went to school or went to food or went to sleep, and that was my entire life. It was rather a boring high school experience, you know. Well, the rest of my friends are out experimenting and partying and having girlfriends. I'm going pool, 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 that's all I'm doing. And so there I am, and my swimming sort of comes to an end. I injure myself, and both shoulders done. I try and work my way through it, but there's just no recovery from it. And so life took a turn, right? When you have a clear set purpose for yourself, and that's really all you see your life as, and then a shift happens that is uncontrollable, you're left in the unknown category going, what the heck do I do? And most teenagers who are sort of struggling through the toughest years of their life, where we're sort of battling between adulthood and adolescence, do I act like a kid? Am I supposed to be an adult? What am I supposed to do? The pressures of the world just came crumbling down on me, and so basically I gave up on life. And to make a long story short, because they've told me to try and keep this under 3 hours, I basically crawled into bed, and for a couple of years, that was my home. Didn't do much of anything. After 2 years, the rest of the world was continuing to live life, and I was going, heck, I can't continue on this way, right? I'm whittling away to nothing. As you see me standing here today, I weigh, you know, about 190 pounds. I was the exact same height, and I weighed about 135 pounds. So there was not much to me. I had just basically whittled away to life in bed. And I made that decision, okay, I've got to do something better with my life. I've got to go out there, and I've got to experience, and I've got to create. I was a rather ambitious person, and so I started a computer repair business. My mom's friend was a wealthy stay-at-home mom, so she said, come fix my computer. I said, sure, I can do that. Don't know how I figured it out, but I did. I went and started to fix her computer, and then she's like, you know what, I've got friends, you can fix their computers. And it was a wonderful thing. All these stay-at-home moms would invite me over to their house, they'd pay me, they'd feed me, and then they'd set me up on dates with their daughters. I was a happy camper. Now, what did any teenage girl do that somebody that their mom had set me up with, I didn't have a chance in? Anyways, I didn't have a chance, right? If mom liked the person, they were out. So it wasn't much of a good scenario. And then I touched this thing called a Mac. Oh, if you haven't experienced one, go experience one. And they're a little company. You may have heard of them. Apple, just tiny. And I touched a Mac and I was like, oh, I don't ever want to touch a PC again. I run a computer repair business. What am I supposed to do? It's like one of those life-changing moments again where the computer goes out the window and I go, I'm a Mac user now. So now I've got to figure it out again. And put up your hand if you've been to a seminar, you know? Yeah. Talking to Oreio. I mean, come on. Okay, so you've been to a seminar. So, you know, when you enter a seminar, there's that person sitting at the front of the room, and they may be a great person, they may not be, but they're checking off your name to say, oh, you registered, and if you didn't happen to register, can you please fill out this form? So somebody said to me, would you like to come and do that for me? And I was like, yeah, sure, I could get paid to sit there and basically do nothing, mindless work. Check, check, okay? And very shortly thereafter, I recognized, oh, the guys from the stage, some of them really know what they're talking about. Some of them not so much, that would be me, but some of them really know what they're talking about. And I said, I want to do more of that sort of thing. And so I paired myself up with one of the speakers and I said, look, I bet you I could do a much better job running your event. So give me a chance, help me, tell me what you need, and I will go and I'll start to run your events for you. And he agreed, and so the person who hired me, unfortunately I stole all her clients, But she had a 2- and a 3-year-old kid, so it was fair. She wanted to spend time at home with them. But that's how I sleep at night, thinking about that, right? Gotta come up with something. And so there she is, you know, I'm running this company that used to be hers, and I'm growing it, and I'm growing it, and I'm growing it, and I'm doing it with the help of a coach, and things are going really, really well, and I'm now 23 years old, you know, I'm earning somewhere in the range of $200,000 a year, and what do you think happened to my head? It wouldn't fit through those doors. It was like ego coming through, nope, that's too small, not gonna happen. Do what any sort of unreasonable 23-year-old would do, which is fire my coach and say, I can succeed at business without you, what do I need you for? Look at how much money I'm making. Not very much money, right, in the grand scheme of life, but I'm a happy guy. So ego's big, running a company, having a lot of fun, and what do you think I'm doing with that money? Oh, come on, guys, this is not a difficult question. There's no trick here. I'm 23 and I'm a boy. I'm spending it, right? So I'm spending it and I am having fun. I'm going on trips, I have the toys, the cars, and my ego is just getting bigger and bigger. And then I make that really sort of big, bad business mistake, right? And I'm totally cleaned out. Absolutely everything. The individual actually stole about $40,000 from me, and thank goodness for credit cards, or not thank goodness for credit cards, because they're the ones who got me into the trouble in the first place, but at least I could leverage that debt and put it onto credit cards so that I could survive. And so there I am, and I've got $40,000 of credit card debt, and no education, because remember, I gave up on life early, so I don't have high school education, which means I don't have university education. High school is one of those prerequisites. I tried. Anyways. And so there I'm going, sitting, what the heck am I going to do with my life? And what do you think my friends and family told me to do? Go get a job. Exactly. Some said go back to school, but most of them said just go get a job. You need to pay the debt back, and you're not going to do that if you're a student, and I am definitely not paying it back for you, honey, right? So I do what any sort of reasonable or unreasonable person would do, and I went and got a job. And I worked for this company called Good Life Fitness. You may have heard of them. They're kind of big. And in my first month with Good Life Fitness, they have 3,000 salespeople. And in my first month with Good Life Fitness, I was ranked in the top 5 of the entire company. And I go, oh, I can actually do something. Well, look at me. And because there was no ego at this point. I was like this, right? You know, defeated. And so I was like, oh, this works. And then my second month went by and I did really well, and my third month went by and I did really well, and I went, I'm looking for a new challenge. This is good. Time for a promotion. That's called ignorance right there, right? And so I go to my boss and I say, I've worked here for 3 months, I've done really well for 3 months, it's time for a promotion. And he did what you just did. He laughed at me. And I was like, oh, what? You mean I just can't ask for a raise or a promotion when I want one? There's actually rules here, because see, when I worked for myself or when I was in my own business, if I wanted to make more money, I just went and got a new client, or I told my clients, look, this is my new rate, and it happened. But when you're in a job, you don't really get that opportunity. So he laughed at me, and I didn't let that get me down. I actually went to his boss. And I was like, you want to laugh at me? Okay, I know the way to do this. So I went to his boss and I said, I'm looking for an opportunity, I want to grow. I think I can offer this company more than just being in the sales role. Excuse me, eating a big dinner before a talk. Tony Robbins says don't eat 4 hours before you speak. Now I know why he said it. So there I am, and I was like, I can do more for this company. Please give me that opportunity. And he said, I have a hunch that you're going to do a great job. I'm going to give you that opportunity, but this is your only one. Don't come back to me 3 months from now asking for another one, because it's just not going to happen. So he promoted me to assistant manager. So 3 months goes by, I'm doing great, and I go, I want a new challenge, right? But he said I'm not allowed to come back to him 3 months from now, so I didn't. I waited till the 4th month. And then in the 4th month, I said, it's time for that promotion. And he said, no. And I said, come on, I can do more. You can see I can do more. So, sure enough, a lot of back and forth, I got promoted to general manager. So now I'm running one of Good Life's clubs. I'm the fastest promoted person to Good Life's history, to the general manager position. And I'm sitting there, and what do you think's happening to my debt? Again, not a trick question. I'm young, I'm 25 years old. What do you think's happening to my debt? It's going bigger! Come on, not nothing. It's accumulating. It's going like this. Because my lifestyle hadn't changed, right? And that's sort of one of those things that we don't sort of adjust always, or we're not nimble enough to adjust when we need to. And so my lifestyle stayed the exact same, and it continued to grow. And there I am with this big debt, earning $60,000 a year as one of the top general managers going, I can do better than this. I think I'm worth more than this. And so somebody said to me, you need to get your confidence back. And I said, well, look, I've done a pretty good job with my confidence. I've worked a good life, I've earned it up. And he's like, no. You need to get your confidence back to go back out on your own. Because put up your hand if it's a whole different challenge to work for yourself than it is to work for somebody else. Right? You believe that. It's a whole different set of challenges. And there's that feeling in the pit of your stomach where you're going, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? You know, what's out there for me? And so my coach said to me, look, I want you to go out and do what is dubbed the world's toughest race. And I said to my coach, you're fired. Because the world's toughest race, what? No, I'm not doing that. And he said, yes, I need you to go out there and I need you to physically challenge yourself. Because I know that if you physically challenge yourself, you will be able to get that confidence back and raise your standards for yourself up, go out there and accomplish anything that you want to. So I said, okay, what is it? I mean, I knew what it was. But he's like, it's called the Polar Race. It's a 650-kilometer foot race, starting in Nunavut, finishing at the magnetic North Pole. Oh boy. Okay? I practice this very well, and actually, I spent the day with Victor today. We had a tough one. We were out on the sailboat today. And so, yeah, it's a beautiful day, right? Sorry, Victor. People are, yeah. Anyways, it was a great day, so I'm very appreciative. And there I am, and Victor and I had a conversation about a couple of things that I need to go out and do. And as soon as we got back onto land, I made a couple phone calls, sent a couple emails, and committed myself to doing those things that I promised to do. And much like when I committed myself to doing the Polar Race, I did the exact same thing. Most of the time, what holds you back is overthinking things. Okay? Put up your hand if you agree with that. You overthink. Okay? Good. Every hand went up. I'm in the right room. So, you overthink things. Now, if there are others around you holding you accountable and making sure that you follow through with things, you have no choice but to go out and do it. Does this race seem a little scary? Yeah, just a little, right? Okay? If you don't think it sounds a little scary, please come stand up here with me. I want your name and phone number, and we'll sign you up for the next one. It's no big deal. Right? You ready for it? Let's go. Okay? So, you know, I'm there going, yeah, that's a little scary. So what do? Is I send an email to my 100 closest friends, and I say, I am signing up in April of 2011. I am going to race 650 kilometers by foot, hauling a 150-pound sled with all my provisions in it, racing to the North Pole. Unguided, unassisted, sorry, not unassisted, we did have 3 checkpoints along the way, but unguided, no people with me, racing to the North Pole. I'm going to do it. Send the email out. Now, do I have any choice in the matter? Yeah. Come on. No, I have no choice. I have committed to doing it. I have sent it out to the world and I have committed to doing it. I have put my word, my integrity on the line to say, look, this is what I'm committing to doing. I'm going out there to do it. Think of those big challenges that you have yourself, those things that you really want to do. What if you just spit it out to the world and told everybody that you're going to do it? At that point, you have no choice but to follow through. Now, here was the most surprising thing that I never imagined would happen, is the emails I got back. Okay? You're thinking, I'm going to get a whole bunch of emails saying you're crazy, right? Because that's the emails you'd be sending me back saying, you're nuts, what are you doing? In fact, the emails I got back were, how can I best support you in this? What can I do to help you? What do you need from me in order to reach that goal? It was amazing to recognize the amount of support I had out there simply from sending a quick email to say, this is what I want to go out there and do. I had a personal trainer who I came across at some point in my travels, who said to me, look, I really am inspired by you wanting to go out there. I am going to commit to training you for free. Whatever you need, you can come and see me every single day if that's what you need. I'm going to physically get you ready for the North Pole. Little did he know I was going to follow up with that, and I took advantage of it, right? So I had nutritionists saying, I'm going to take care of your diet. I had people saying, I own a food company, or I know somebody in a food company, I'm going to get you food for the race. I had all sorts of people saying, I'm going to help you do this. And don't get me wrong, I don't have this big, huge network of people. I'm a 26-year-old schmuck of a kid, right? For those of you who don't know Yiddish, it's, you know, it's not a good thing, right? So I'm just this little kid. I don't have this big network. I don't have resources. I don't have business contacts from years. What I have is 100 email addresses that I say, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something that I never imagined that I could do on my own. And people responded to it and said, look, we're going to help you. We're going to get you there. We're going to grow with you. Whatever it takes. Now, to those people, I responded back saying, are you going to give me a donation too? Because the race costs $50,000 to do. So the race costs $50,000 to do it, and I already told you I'm severely in debt. So how do I do it? Well, my coach said to me, look, you're going to have to figure out how to raise the money. You're going to have to figure out how to get people to buy into your vision, and that's how you are going to learn the skills in business. I really hope these two are looking me up on the internet. I'm like, this is what I'm praying. They're sitting right in front of me and I can see them, and I'm hoping that they're Googling me to try and see things from the race. So this is my fingers crossed. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what is going on in my mind. They're just Googling me. It's okay. I'm allowed. That's fine. It's good. Sorry guys, I had to. Husband and wife sitting next to each other. They're making a real estate transaction. It's totally loud, right? You guys are closing the deal. Close the deal. That's fine. That's what we're here for. So there I am. You know, I know you're listening. You're doing great. I'm loving your smile. You're just perfect. So we're going along, and you know, these people are truly committed to my success. And my coach is going, look, you've got to learn these skills if you're going to go out there and succeed in business. Now, I'm in the business of business and not in the business of real estate, though the business of real estate is the exact same. But in the business of real estate, is one of those roles getting people to buy into your vision and fund what you're doing? Yes? Of course it is. So I have to raise $50,000 for myself. And that's actually just the cost of the race, let alone the cost of the 6 months of my life prior, where all I did was train for this race. I needed to buy into that vision of getting other people to buy into that vision. So I needed the confidence to know that what I was doing had purpose, had meaning, and was going to make a difference. And when it comes to your own real estate deals, that's one of the things that's holding you back. Okay? It doesn't matter who you are unless you're Donald Trump, in which case you have the confidence, right? But every single other person out there needs to always be working on their confidence, not cockiness. There is a difference. It's a very fine line, but there is a difference. Women know the line, men, blurred, okay? So you need to have that confidence to go out there and speak to somebody and say, this is my vision. This is what I want to create for myself. This is where I want to go, or this is what I want to create for us. This is the opportunity at hand. And if you stand strong and confident in what you're doing, then the other person will absolutely have that confidence. And if you're sitting there unsure, do you think the other person's going to buy into you? Not a chance. So I had to be confident that I knew that them investing into me was a good investment. And tell me that is not the toughest investment to try and get somebody to do, is to buy in or sell yourself. I wish I was selling real estate. My goodness, that would be like, here, look at this, it's beautiful. Or it's not beautiful, we don't want it to be beautiful, that way we can rehab it, right? I want it to be ugly. But I have to say, no, you gotta buy into me. You gotta invest into me. And hope that you are going to get a return on that investment. Hope that I'm successful enough to go out there and do a great job at this race. And so we let the cat out of the bag. Yes, I won the race. But I want to kind of put this in a different way. How many winners, it just finished right now, FIFA World Cup, how many winners were there? One. Okay, put up your hand if you think there's one winner. You guys, some of you aren't putting up your hand. You're like, this is a trick question. I'm not putting up my hand. This is a trick question. I don't want to be the one that puts up my hand the first time. I know he's going somewhere with this. So, I'm on a team that has qualified for FIFA before, qualified for the World Cup before, but never made it past the first round. Ever. In the history of my country, we've never made it past the first round. And this year, we make it past the first round. Do I feel like a winner? Have I made my country proud? Yes. Of course I have. I'm absolutely a winner. And so, going into this race, I had to recognize that yes, there was going to be a team that was going to arrive in first place. But simply making it to the North Pole alive meant I had won. I had won the right to keep my life. It's a good thing to win. Said to my coach, yes, please get me there alive. Can we add in there the caveat that I'd like all my fingers and toes at the end of it too? Because that would be good too. He's like, yeah, we can do that too. Okay, good, we're on the same page. Okay, now think about yourself. What is that win for you? You're constantly striving for that big goal, that huge vision out there, but what is the next win for you? Because too often we get caught up on the big one, and it feels like forever for us to get there, and we forget about the little wins along the way. Those who succeed are the ones who win the most. And the reason they win the most is because they set goals all along the way that they can go out there, that they can achieve, and that they can win at constantly. Daily or weekly wins. Things that you have not done in your life before. Things that you procrastinate at that you're like, no, if I just accomplish that, that's a win. And figure out some way to celebrate at it. So, for me, the goal was simply to arrive at the North Pole alive meant I had won. That was not good enough for my coach. Okay? My coach says to me, no, look, here is a win. A win is arriving at the North Pole alive, but having accomplished a 20-mile day. And when we talk about a 20-mile day, that means that I accomplished 20 nautical miles, which is about equivalent to 26 miles. And to do 26 miles in a day meant that I was probably doing closer to 28 or 30. And you're looking at me, why? Okay? Because here's start point, here's finish point. I'm not tracking every step, I'm just tracking how far I went from start to finish. Okay? And the path isn't always straight. It's actually kind of like this. Right, I'm having to go around ice rubble, I'm having to correct my GPS course along the way. So a 20-miler is a really long day. If I was in South Africa, I'd use my French, but I'm going to be polite here. So it's just a really long day, okay? And so in the first 2 weeks of the race, the longest, greatest distance that I was able to accomplish was 14 miles. And I'm going, I'm only able to accomplish 14 miles in a day. How do you want me to go out there and accomplish 50% greater distance in a day? You know, it's basically like saying, oh, you did a half marathon today. Go out and do a marathon tomorrow. No, thank you, right? So, but I've got to figure this out because my coach said to me, that is a win. A win is you've given it everything it takes, you've put everything on the line, and you're going out there to win. Now my next slide is, you know, the video made it very glamorous and it sounded all nice and, you know, it was like, but the next slide is like a video where you actually sort of get to hear and see. I'm going to try my best at this. If it doesn't work, I apologize because microphone system here. Can you hear that? Yeah. Okay, so that's an idea of it, just because the audio is not so great. The wind never stopped. You can see that's a map that I'm trying to hold into place. It's blowing on me with all its might, and I'm just trying to hold on to it. That's what we dealt with every single day for 27 days. 27 days is what I raced, and that's what we dealt with. Okay? That was our tent. And so what we're actually doing there, or what my partner's doing, is he's actually burying the tent. Because we had to set it up and tear it down every single day. And when we set it up, the tent on its own is not good enough. We actually had to bury 1 foot to 2 feet of it all the way around to keep wind from coming in underneath. And if we missed a spot, whoever was sleeping close to that spot knew we missed it. And so I never wanted to miss a spot because it might happen to be where I was sleeping, and that just would not have been fun. And so that's what we dealt with, okay? There's a picture so you can actually see it's me. Not just, you know, anyways. And we raced and we raced and we raced. And actually let's, you know, I'm going to share with you one of the fun things along the way. Though, no, that's not it. That's my sled. You can kind of see in the bottom, proudly Canadian. I was the only Canadian doing the race. Maybe it's because most Canadians are smart enough not to do the race, and I just didn't get that memo. So, my partner Rob, to the right, top right there, is actually one of my favorite pictures of the entire thing. It's actually my second favorite picture. I'll show you my favorite picture later, but that's my second favorite picture, and you're like, a whole bunch of blobs. Okay, it's snow, it looks, there's something actually interesting on there, it's that. That black dot is a 2-ton mammal that can run 40 miles an hour for 12 hours straight. They call it the world's most vicious mammal. You may have heard of him by another name called a polar bear. And so that's a polar bear. And so we're racing along, and I happen to spot the polar bear, thankfully before the polar bear spots us. And this is where trust becomes a factor. So one of the biggest things that I took away from doing the race to the North Pole is trust. Okay? I had no choice but to trust my team. Now think of your business. How often do you doubt the people around you? How often do you worry and wonder about what they're doing? How often do you second guess or not hire them in the first place because you're just going to do the work yourself. And you get burnt out, and you get tired, and you get frustrated, and you're like, there's not enough time in the day to get everything done that I need to get done. And that's not the truth. The truth is you just don't trust other people enough to do it. You think you're better than them, and let me tell you that they might be able to do it a little bit quicker than you can do it. They might know it just a little bit better. We were having a conversation about bookkeeping earlier. Don't get me started on bookkeeping. We could be here all night talking about those who do their own books. Okay? So, those who know you, they're not the ones laughing. I can tell who's doing their own books. They're not laughing at that joke. They're going, what's wrong with doing my own books? And there's nothing wrong with that. I save time, I save money. No. Anyways, so, you know, I learned that I had to trust my team without fail. I needed to trust them because I only had a certain amount of energy in each and every single day. And if I wasted that energy second guessing everything that they were supposed to be doing, or going out and doing it myself, or double checking, then I wasn't going to make it to the end. I wasn't going to make that end goal. I was going to get stuck part way. I was going to get burnt out, I was going to get frustrated. So I needed to trust in them. And so I also needed to trust in my coach. So, you know, put up your hand and yell out, what do you think, what have you heard that you're supposed to do when you see a bear? Sorry? Play dead, okay? Put up your hand if you've heard play dead. Okay? I'm here to tell you that playing dead gets you dead. Okay? Because when a 2-ton mammal comes to see if you're still alive and pushes you with that big paw, he crushes every bone in your body and that's the end of you. Okay? So playing dead gets you dead. I've also heard run. He can run 40 miles an hour for 12 hours straight. That is not a smart move. Okay? So my coach said to me, you need to stand tall and big and make as much noise as possible. Oh, you're crazy. This is what I'm thinking to my coach, right? You're absolutely crazy. I gotta stand there and make myself go big and tall. And so what do? I get my 2 teammates beside me, and my teammate Lee is like, get the gun, get the gun. And I'm like, just relax, let's try this out first, and then you can get the gun. Okay? So, there we go. We take our ski poles, we bang our ski poles above our head, and we yell, bear, 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 bear. We couldn't come up with anything else to say. Our brains were slightly frozen, so that's all we yelled was bear, as if he knew that that's what he was called, right? And so we're there like 3 fools. I wish somebody had a YouTube video of that, because I would have loved to laugh at myself afterwards. But there we are, we're yelling bear, 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 and the bear takes a look at us. And he gets up from his front paws and stands on his hind paws and looks straight at us. And then he goes about his business. He goes back to what he wanted to do, which was looking for food. He recognized that we weren't food, well, we were, but he thought we weren't food, so... So he went back to doing what he knows best. Searching, playing, looking for food. And in that moment I go, trusting my coach is a good thing. Right? Learning to relinquish that control is a very powerful thing. It actually made me stronger. Didn't make me weaker for having to follow the advice of somebody else. It made me stronger. It made me better. And it made me be able to go out to the rest of the race and not second guess and question everything my coach said, because that takes up way too much time and energy. So, I'm lying next to a paw print there. It's a little baby one, because full-grown polar bears actually don't leave paw prints. Yeah, they leave craters. Ice demolishes. They leave just these big holes. And so when I laid next and took a picture next to a hole, it didn't look very good. It wasn't a very good picture. So that's that. Okay, so here we go. 2 types of people in this world. Just 2. Positive and negative. Pretty much everybody in your life you can categorize into one of those 2 areas. You look at them as a positive person, as a person you want to spend time with, as a person you want to learn from, or a negative person, a person that you don't want to spend time with, that when they walk into a room, you walk the other way. Okay? I'm hoping that none of you do that with me afterwards. You're like, "You're that guy, I'm out of here." No. So there are two types of people, positive and negative, right? And so, pretty much, I choose to live my life surrounding myself with positive people. I spend as much time as I can with positive people. Now, you've elected a president because you think he's a pretty darn good guy. I tend to think the same thing, which is why I spent the day with him, right? That's a positive person. That's a person I can learn a lot from. That's a person that I want to surround myself with. The negative people, I don't want to surround my time or spend my time with them. I don't want to surround myself with them. I don't want them to drain me mentally. Unless they're my family, in which case I'm stuck with them, but, you know, that's for you to decide. I want to surround myself with the best, most positive people who are constantly driving me and letting me know that I can do better, that I can succeed greater than I'm doing right now, and I can push myself harder. I want to surround myself with people who want me to grow, who are not trying to bring me down. So I said to you I have two partners, right? There are three of us doing this race in my team. What do you think my two partners are? Positive, come on. We're not in La La Land. One's positive, one's negative, right? It would be so nice if we were all positive. Yes, let's make it to the North Pole. No. Right? That would be wonderful. We had one positive and we had one negative. And so I had to learn how to actually handle those negative people when I had no choice but to be in their presence. It's not by choice. By choice, I try and surround myself with positive people. But sometimes might you come across a deal where there's somebody on the other end of the deal that you just don't feel like dealing with, but it's a great deal and you know that if you just deal with it for a little bit, you'll be able to succeed on the other end?
Yeah.
Of course. So I needed to learn how to handle those types of situations. And so here I am, I'm with my two teammates. In order to get to the North Pole, we had to race in a single file line. Now there's a reason for that, and that's because the person out front does the most amount of work or the least amount of work? Most, by far. They are clearing that path, they are working hard, they are, you know, making the path, they are trying to figure things out. I didn't realize it while I was at the North Pole, but it wasn't until I was back that I realized that that's how business is too. The person out front has to do so much more work. They have to try and figure out the path. They have to try and clear that path. They have to try and get people to buy into that is the right path to take. And what a horrible job that is. I'd much rather be the person who's second in line where the path is already there, they've already cleared it, and now I just get to follow along in their footsteps. Right? Samsung did it to Apple. They did a beautiful job. Apple cleared the way, and Samsung came out with this ugly phone and said, look, we're doing it too. Just follow us. Can you tell I'm an Apple person? Okay. Not an Apple crowd, apparently. Got it. So there I am, and I'm racing along, and guess what? I'm actually smart enough to recognize that there's another team racing that's ahead of me, and as opposed to wasting most of my energy trying to figure out if they're going in the right direction, I can spend most of my time just following in their footsteps, going along, and then once every hour or so just checking my bearings to making sure that I'm headed in the right direction, right? The saying goes, trust but verify. I want to fully trust, but I'm going to verify once in a while, making sure that I'm on the right path. And so that's what I did. Now, I still had the most amount of work in my team because I was the leader of my team, and the other team had laid that path, but by the time I got to it, it was a little bit muddled. So I needed to re-clear it. And then Lee, she would be in the middle, and then Rob would be in the back. Okay? Now, put up your hand if you think that you've made up something in business that is total nonsense, but to you, it's total truth. Now, nobody's going to put up their hand, because they're like, no, everything that I make up is not total nonsense. It is the truth. And I'm here to tell you, no. You make up a lot of things about yourself, about your business, about your ability to succeed that are total nonsense. Lee thought that she had to be in the middle of Rob and I, because if she was at the back, Rob and I would go so much faster than her that we would just leave her behind and she would die. Okay, it doesn't say much about my character that she thought I would leave her there to die, but, you know, it was nonsense. There's no way that we would have left her behind. You know, we're not the US government when it comes to education. Okay? So we were absolutely going to stick with her. It was our team. But in her mind, she said, I cannot go in the back because they are faster than me and they will just leave me there. You've made up things about your business, about your ability to succeed, about your confidence, about your ability to have people buy into you, about your ability to get people to fund you, about many different things that is total nonsense. Because there are hundreds and thousands out there who have done the same and proven that it's possible. But you've made it up. And it's okay. And it says in my intro video, it takes somebody else to pull that out of you. And so I was there to test Lee, to figure it out. So we race in single file. Me at the front, Lee in the middle, Rob in the back. And then in the afternoons, Rob and I would switch every hour on the hour, just to give my legs just a little bit of rest, so that I didn't have to constantly focus on are we going the right direction and all sorts of stuff. Now, along the way, do you think there were obstacles? Of course there were obstacles, okay? I had these two big obstacles called my feet. They were horrible. I had 12 blisters in each foot, okay? In this day and age, especially in Canada, we get one blister on our foot, we don't want to walk. We're calling up our boss saying, I can't make it into work today, I'm sorry. I gotta put my foot up, right? You know, I had 12 on each foot, and I had to race for 14 hours a day on them. I developed an infection called cellulitis. Apparently it's pretty dangerous, okay? I didn't really know about it beforehand. The race doctor, I happened to be at a checkpoint, she said, this is very dangerous, you need to go on an antibiotic. I said, I don't take antibiotics, I don't take Tylenol, I don't take Advil, I don't eat meat, I'm clean, I'm organic, this is me. And she said, I'm going to pull you from the race. I said, ooh, this is going to be a good story. I got pulled from the race, I had this infection, ugh. But is that how I really wanted to succeed? No, of course not, right? A great story doesn't equal a great accomplishment. So I wanted the great accomplishment. I wanted to be able to accomplish it. So I figured out that I was allergic to erythromycin. I'll never forget now, right? I'm allergic to erythromycin, and that was the antibiotic she was holding in her hand trying to give me. We figured out the right one, I took the right antibiotic, and that was an obstacle. I had to race with that. You have obstacles in your business. And obstacles are not meant to keep you from your goal. Obstacles are like brick walls. Brick walls are not there to keep you out. Brick walls are there to show you how badly you want something. If there's a brick wall up in one of your buildings, does that mean, oh, I can't touch it? No, you take a sledgehammer to it, right? You're like, nah, that sucker's coming down. Why don't you do the same when it comes to the brick walls as obstacles in your life? You're like, well, I don't know if it's load bearing or not. So you call in somebody who can figure it out. And they can tell you whether you can bring that wall down or not. What is the quickest, easiest, most efficient way to bring it down? So I use that all the time now. Okay, I don't let obstacles hold me back. I let obstacles show me how badly I actually want to go out there and succeed. And the bigger the obstacle means, the better the coach I need to help me to overcome that obstacle. Not the more work I need to do, that's foolish, right? It's the better the coach I need to teach me the right direction to go in that scenario. So I'm 30 miles from the end of the race and I have not accomplished my 20-miler. I'm a little bit beat up, okay? Because I really want this 20-miler. My coach says that that's all I need to do in order to win the race is accomplish that 20-miler. And I know that there's no way I'm going to be able to convince Lee to try and do 30 miles. She's just not going to go for it. So I've got to figure out how to do this 20-miler. So do I do 20 miles today and then 10 miles the next day? I'll be tired doing those 10 miles, but at least it's a little bit shorter. Do I rest up and do the 10 miles and then really go for it, the 20-mile last day, right into the North Pole, do my 20-miler, feel great? I don't want any of that. I really want my 30-miler, right? That's all I've got to go. I want to do 30 miles now. Now that 20-mile goal seems like nothing. I want 30 miles. I'm a bit crazy, right? I understand it. I haven't done greater than now 16 miles and I want to do 30. What? That doesn't make sense. So I turn to Rob, because I know I can't do it alone. And I go to Rob, I want to do a 30-miler. I need your help, I need your support, I need you there to make sure that I follow through with this goal. Much like my email blasts, right? I need somebody to hold me accountable. Because you can't hold yourself accountable. Holding yourself accountable has gotten you where you are now, and I know that you're looking to succeed greater than where you are, right? We all are, and that's why we're going out there and doing new things and meeting new people and networking and having fun. So I need that support. Rob goes, okay, if you can get Lee to agree, I will agree. Man, now I've got a challenge on my hands. So I go to Lee, don't worry, we're not doing the 30-miler. She's like, okay, good. I was really worried that you wanted to do the 30-miler, and I really wasn't ready to do a 30-miler. I was like, okay, but I really want to do a 20-miler. She said, okay, I can muster up the energy to do a 20-miler. So I said, Lee, I'm not too sure whether the batteries in my GPS will last a full 20-miler. So can I borrow your GPS also? And this way, if the batteries in my GPS die, I have yours as a backup. Well, I already told you Lee is always in the middle, so she doesn't need her GPS. So she says, as long as you tell me how far we've gone along the way, that way I know you can have my GPS. Lee, I got you covered. I'll tell you as often as you'd like how far we've gone. Okay? Now this is my favorite picture. You're like, it doesn't look like much. Okay? Now this is 2 o'clock in the morning. The sun is still out in the sky. It's beautiful. And what's surrounding the sun is called a sundog. Okay? You can see little bits of the rainbow, and it's actually a full rainbow that surrounds the sun. It's gorgeous. It looks beautiful. But that's not why I took the picture. I took the picture because this was the exact moment that Lee figured out that we weren't stopping. We were 26 miles into the day, and Lee goes, guys, when are we stopping? Oh no, I don't think we are stopping, are we? And I was like, no, we're 26 miles done today. We've got 4 to go. There's no way we are stopping. Okay? Lee made it up. She made it up that she didn't think she could do it. She made it up that she didn't think she was strong enough to do it. You make up things all the time and say, I can't do that. I can't do it. For this, that, or the other. And I'm here to tell you, you can. And I had to show Lee that she could do it. So at 26 miles, do you think she wanted to give up? Not a chance. She wanted to go for it. She's like, okay, 4 miles to go. We can do this. Fastest day that we had accomplished. It was our last day of the race. We were tired. It was 27 days in. And she was faster and stronger than on day 1. Not physically. Absolutely not physically. How was she faster and stronger? Mentally. All it takes. My coach said to me, you will be ready to race to the North Pole the day you reach the North Pole. That doesn't help me. I want to be ready the day I start the race, not the day I finish it. So at 4:55 in the morning, that's me standing on the North Pole, and that one single decision to race that 30 miles that day was the difference between me arriving in 2nd place and me arriving in 1st place. I followed their tracks all along the way until right at the end when I passed them. When I built up the energy to go out there and pass them and win. And that's exactly what I did. I beat them by 3 hours. After 27 days of racing, it came down to a 3-hour difference. That's it. Because of that one decision to go for it. So what one decision have you just not gone for yourself? What one decision have you held back on because you didn't think that you were capable of doing it? Or that it was going to require too much time, effort, energy, or work? And what have you missed out on as a result? I know I didn't miss out on the opportunity of winning the pole race. Now, what do I win for that? I win the right to stand up here on stage and say, I won the race, right? It's bragging rights. Thank you. It's bragging rights. That's what I won. I won the ability to go out there and succeed at whatever I want to do now. Whatever I want to do. Simply because I made that decision then. Okay? Now, I'm not telling you at all that you need to race to the North Pole in order to succeed. Okay? In fact, I'm telling you, don't race to the North Pole. Let me do that for you and you learn from my stupidity. Okay? So, you get to learn from others. You get to learn from those lessons that others have learned the hard way. You have an ability, you have a determination, you have a will within you to want to go out there and succeed. But that will is far greater than even you are realizing. And I'll ask you this question to sort of finish it off. Put up your hand if you think you're living 100% to your full potential. As expected, right? Not a single person in here thinks they're living their full potential. Why? Because you know you're capable of more, you're just afraid of it. You're afraid of what that change will bring you. I told you I lay in bed having given up on life because my life was a swimmer. And that life came to an end. And I didn't know what the next step looked like. I didn't know what my future was if I didn't have the pool in my life. It was scary to go out there and take that next step. To realize that I had to go out and change my future. I had to go out and do something different that was going to feel uncomfortable. And it wasn't until this experience that I recognized that I love uncomfortableness. It's all about adapting and accepting that change and having fun with it and being excited about the unknown. Okay? Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. You've heard that saying before. I want you to remember it and live by it. I want you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I want you to constantly want more for yourself. And when you feel like you don't know what the next step is, get some help and get somebody to say, I will help to bring you to that next level. Go out and ask for it. Asking for help makes you a stronger, smarter person. I constantly ask for it. And then I constantly am surprised when things move up to a level that I never imagined for myself. It's really an exciting way to live. Okay? So, thank you very much. I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you've gotten one or two things out of this. And what I ask of you in exchange is I ask that you go out and you take action. Because everything I said here is absolutely useless unless you go out and do something different than what you've done before. Go out and take action. Don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about all the I's being dotted and all the T's being crossed unless it's a contract, in which case worry about it. Okay? But just go out there and take action and have fun doing it. And recognize that you are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for. I know you are. Okay? Have fun. I really enjoyed. Thank you so much. Here, so we don't get feedback.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Okay, so I had a question.
Yes, please.
Because I read that it took you 23 days, but you said 27.
Yes.
Something about 4 days being held down by weather, or is that?
Okay, so, sure.
So
Who put 23 out there? I want to know. No, the story's so much better with 27, right? So for 2 days, we couldn't move at all. For 2 days, the wind was so strong. In fact, do I sort of appear as a fairly fit person? Yeah. Yes? Okay? So you don't think that wind could probably be one of those things that would hold me back, but for 1 day we actually tried to go out and race, and after an hour and 45 minutes of racing, I looked at my GPS and we have moved 300 feet. Yeah. The wind was that strong. So for an hour and 45 minutes, I raced in what I thought was going towards the North Pole, and what I recognized as it was going towards the North Pole, it was just going there very, very slowly. And so I turned around to my team and said, this is dangerous, let's throw up our tent and let's just hunker down. And I'll tell you of the entire race, of the difficult moments of actually moving forward, sitting there worried about your life is far worse. Okay? And what I take away from that for you is when you're sitting around thinking about things, it's actually far worse than if you were going out there and experiencing it. Going out there and experiencing trouble or hazard or whatever is a whole lot less worse than just sitting there and thinking about it. And so yes, for 2 days we just sat there. Now I have no idea about the other 2 days because we actually did race them all. So I'll find the article and figure out who wrote it so that I can make that correction for them. Okay.
Do we have time for a couple questions?
I'm here.
Are there any questions?
Oh, from you guys. Do you guys have any questions? Yes.
How did you get back?
That's the question.
How did I get back? Okay, so long version or short version? Okay, middle version, okay? So here's my next sort of caveat to that. Manly version or real version? Yeah, it's always the women who say real. Thank you, men, for not saying anything and having my back, but the women, we know, always win. So I arrived at the North Pole, and I just completed my 30-miler. It's 4:55 in the morning, and I'm a happy guy. I'm at the North Pole, the race is over, yes, right? And then I remember that I have to build a runway for a plane. Okay, so a runway looks like this. It's a football field area that has to be perfectly flat. And so we all take our shovels, there are 8 of us at this point, we all take our shovels out and we go and we dig out the high spots and fill in the low spots, and we had garbage bags with us, so we filled up the garbage bags to sort of make the sides of the runway so the plane knew where to land. And one end was the beginning, so we made like a U shape so that the plane could know exactly where to land. And we spent 4 hours building this runway. I thought when I finished the 30-miler I was going to get to sleep, but no, that was not happening. So there I am, I've built the runway, or we've all built the runway, and we see the plane coming in, right? And you actually saw me on the video saying, you can see I was smiling, the plane's coming in to get us, yes it is. And the plane came in and does what it normally does, which is circle around, and then circle around the second time, and then circle around the third time, and the third time it got to about this height. You know, it's whatever the word is for it, right? It's blades, or skis, thank you. It's been a long day. You know, the skis were about this high off the ground, okay? And so it's taking a very good look at us. And I'm like, land already, would you? So the fourth time, you know that sound when anything hits dry snow? It's like that horrible screeching noise, crunch, screeching noise, right? Best noise I've ever heard, okay? The plane makes that noise. Unfortunately, the next noise that I was waiting for, which were the engines slowing down, didn't happen, and it took back off. I'm going, hello, you forgot me. What about the 7 others? No, me, right? I'm supposed to be done. So I get on the phone with the race organizer and I say, what happened to the plane? And they said, she doesn't feel like you've built a flat enough runway, and she's not willing to land there. But don't worry, there's a runway 14 miles to the west from an expedition that's been out there. Just go there and she'll pick you up from there. Excuse me? Okay? You want to talk about obstacles, that's an obstacle, right? So I say, look, it's 24 hours of sunlight at the North Pole. I'll rest for the next 12 hours. It'll take us about 12 hours to race, or to get there after that. Tell her to come back at noon tomorrow, she'll pick us up. She unfortunately has flown too many hours that she can't fly back to Resolute Bay and then fly back to get you. If she flies back to Resolute Bay, she's not going to be able to pick back up again for 2 more days. So you have a choice. You can get there in 5 hours, or you can wait for 2 days. Okay. So what you're telling me is I just raced 30 miles and then I spent 4 hours building a runway, and now you want me to do 14 miles faster than I've ever done 14 miles in the entire race and get there. And they say yes. So at this point, right, when I got to the North Pole, it was the happiest moment. I took those antibiotics, I dug a little hole, I poured out the antibiotics, I poured out the painkillers, I stomped on them. I didn't stomp on them, that would have hurt a lot. But I covered them up and I said, I'm done with the painkillers. I unwrapped my feet, I'm like, oh, they can breathe. And now I have to race 14 miles. And I don't have painkillers and antibiotics, because who knows where that hole is, right? And I don't have time to tape up because we literally have 5 hours to get there. And so we decide that it's every person for themselves, okay? You know, teams out the window, okay? Whoever gets there first, lay down in front of the wheel and don't let them take off. Okay? Interesting concept. Can I lay down in the plane and hope that it doesn't take off? No. We have to lay down in front of the wheel. So it's every person for themselves. We just start going. And an hour and 45 minutes into it, I had raced 6 miles. I have never gone that fast in the entire race. I was flying. And then we hit something called ice rubble. Okay? Picture a boulder field, but all made out of ice. And the problem with it is, with ice comes snow. And when you step on snow/ice, if it's ice, your foot stays there. If it's snow, your foot goes through it. And so every single step, I didn't know what was going to happen. And so it also meant extreme undulation of my feet. And so they really started to hurt. And so while I was way ahead of people, half an hour later, they are catching up. And they are catching up. And then 2 catch up to me and they're like, would you like us to wait for me? And or for you? And I was like, no, go ahead. I knew how much pain I was in. And I knew that I was done. And so about an hour into the ice rubble and 2 hours and 45 minutes into it, I sit down in the snow and I am bawling my eyes out. I am in more pain than I've ever experienced in my life. And I pick up the phone to my race organizer and I say, I can't do it. I don't know how you're going to get me out of here, but I'm done. Like, I've given everything I've got. I raced 30 miles last night. I built a runway. I'm done. Please get me out of here. Save me however you can. And he said, how the heck am I going to get you out of an ice rubble field? You just spent 4 hours building what you thought was a perfectly flat surface area that a plane could not land in, this is where that common sense sort of stuff comes into play. The plane can't land in the ice rubble. Get yourself back up and get going. So I have no choice. I get myself back up and I start going again. Okay? So I'm going and I'm going and I'm bawling my eyes out and I've got icicles running all down the front of me and I am a mess. And about another half an hour into it, I decide that this time I'm not going to sit in the snow, I'm going to lay down in the snow. And maybe if I lay down in the snow, he'll get that I mean the real deal, right? I'm throwing a full-fledged temper tantrum. I am laying down. And so I get on the phone and I'm like, I am laying in the snow, I am done, you need to come get me. And he said, Ryan, I held the plane back at checkpoint 3 because I thought I was going to have to emergency rescue you from the race because your feet was so bad. But you held it out and you kept going. You are a few miles from the end now. You cannot give up. You need to keep going. So I stand back up and I keep going. And I start racing again, and I start going again, and I start going again, and half an hour later I'm like, I'm done. You know, this time for real. I'm taking off my sled, I'm taking off my jacket, I'm like, I would rather just sit here and freeze to death. And I call up the race organizer again, and this time he doesn't pick up, he puts the nurse on the line. And here's this sweet girl going, Ryan, please, just put your jacket back on and keep going, you're almost there. And how can I refuse a sweet girl on the other end of the line? And, you know, I can't be a crybaby on the phone to her, I've got to keep going. So I put everything back on and I start racing again. And off in the distance I see the plane. First I actually saw the plane in the sky, coming down. And I am yelling at the plane, do not leave me behind, don't leave me, I'm here, don't leave without me, I'm here. And the planes in the high Arctic, they do something, they flap their wings to say that we see you. Heck of a lot of good it does. I mean, you can see me, but come and get me. That's what I want, right? So I can see the plane off in the distance, but I can't see anybody else around it, and I know two racers have passed me. And I'm like, they got on the plane and I'm leaving. I can't do this. So I race and I race and I race, and I'm like, they can't leave without me. I'm crying, I can't leave without me. I'm yelling at the plane as if they can hear me. I mean, if you're sitting at the back of the room, you couldn't hear me. Snow works as an amazing sound absorber, so you can't hear a thing. And all of a sudden I see somebody on the top of the plane waving their arms. And I was like, well, that's an interesting way of trying to get a plane to move. And then they get down off the wings and then they start to run to me. And, you know, we're still a ways away, so about 10, 15 minutes later, he finally arrives to me and he's like, did you not see me waving my hands? We've got to go, hurry it up! And realizes that I'm bawling my eyes out, and he's like, I'm really sorry, is there anything I can do for you? I said, see that sled behind me? That is now yours. Took off my jacket, took off my harness, gave him the sled, put my jacket back on, and away we went to the plane. Now, planes don't have nice little stairs in the high Arctic, they have these rung ladders, right? And there's no way that my feet were touching that. So one of my teammates grabbed my arms, and what I found out was the co-pilot who ran after me, he grabbed my legs, I was a big sack of potatoes, they threw me up into the plane, and then my sled came up straight thereafter, the door closed, and off it went. We had to leave 5 racers behind. I was the last one to make it on. The co-pilot actually spotted me and said to the pilot, I can see one more, and she said, I don't care, I need to leave. When you're a pilot in the high Arctic, it's not actually your choice to be a pilot in the high Arctic, it's kind of one of those jobs that you get just to have. And most of them are just getting their license. And so she didn't want to risk losing her license, she was already in her emergency hours. And if she had landed any later at Resolute Bay, the authorities would have just taken her license away the moment she landed. There is no question. She's well into her emergency hours. You have a lot of emergency hours in the high Arctic because you never know what's going to happen. So she had no choice but to leave. It was her career, or leave 5 people behind. They waited for me, they threw me on the plane, we left food supply for the other 5, and we took off. And at that point I was totally delirious. I had no idea what was going on, no wherewithal to lay in front of the wheel like we had all planned to do. So I got on the plane and 3 of us made it back, and the other 5 made it back 2 days later when the plane went back for them. It wasn't until last week that any of the 5 that we left behind would speak to any of the 3 of us. 3 years later, we had a reunion. They finally would speak to us. So, to answer your question, we took a plane back. Okay, so that was a long way, but yeah, honestly, that last 14 miles was the toughest of the entire race. I thought the 30-miler was tough, and then it was there. So, again, let's go back to it. The meaning behind that, or what I took the meaning to be, is even though I think I may have reached the end of my goals now, I don't let my guards down. I am always prepared for that next level. And I don't let obstacles that come up at the last minute get me discouraged. Because I know that if I fight just that little bit more, it'll be worth it. After 27 days, I tried to give up. I tried so hard to give up, but my coach wouldn't let me give up. And had I given up, I would have been stuck there with the others for 2 more days, sitting in the cold and not at a spa for 5 days with my fiance, right? Because that's where I wanted to be. And so I just had to push that little bit harder and not give up. And so now when stuff comes up and I'm like, oh man, I thought I already was there. Don't worry, give it just that little bit more. The end result will be worth it. Anybody who wants anything, I'm here, I'm around, I'm having fun, so please, welcome.
Ryan, on behalf of the entire membership and the executive, I'd like to present you with this token of our appreciation.
Well, wonderful, thank you so much. Great, I'm gonna.
Awesome talk, Ryan. Beautifully done. Actually, I have a question for you. How many calories a day do you have to consume?
Oh, okay, this was a fun one. So, I consumed about 10,000 calories a day of food, and I lost 1 pound a day. Yes, so I finished the race approximately 20 pounds lighter than I started the race. And I was consuming about 10,000 calories a day. And I'm not a preacher of it. I actually fish now, but I was strict vegan throughout the race. So all my calories were consumed from goji berries and coconut and dried or pumpkin seeds. You'd say nuts, but nuts would get frozen and they'd crack a tooth, so it wasn't worth taking the risk. And I lost the least amount of weight. So everybody who was out there consuming meat that you would imagine would have consumed way more calories, they were all losing weight tremendously faster than I was, and I became the grocery store because they all wanted my food because my food was amazing and they were consuming sugar and processed and dehydrated meat and it was just disgusting. And so I was like, okay, what's it worth to you? If you ever watched Orange is the New Black, right? You gotta make those trades. So that's exactly what I did. I made the trades and didn't do anything. I was, we left 5 people behind. I could hardly collect on my debts after that. That was the end of it. But yeah, 10,000 calories a day.
And how long did it take after the race for your metabolism to slow down?
So that's, I don't actually know, but I will tell you this. I was fully recovered within 5 days. 5 days later, I went out and did a 120-kilometer bike ride, just for fun. I got on my bike, and I was like, I wonder how far I can go. And 4 hours later, I had accomplished 120 kilometers. I took a video of it, thankfully, so I had the memory of it. But my feet were fully healed. My ex-wife who was then fiance, she was running a raw vegan retreat not too far from Ottawa. Ottawa was our meeting place. So when we flew back from Resolute Bay, we came here to Ottawa, and I got my first ever barber shave. Oh man, I had a beard like none other, and I went in there and he cleaned me up, and now I'm spoiled. Now I love going to a barber to get a shave, and bad thing. But no, we came back here to Ottawa. I drove not too far from here. It was about an hour and a half. I'm Toronto-based. I didn't mention that, but I drove an hour and a half from here. We went to a spa. We relaxed there for 5 days. I got pampered like crazy because there's nothing like telling your story to a whole bunch of women who were surrounding me for 5 days to just make yourself feel good. And then I went out, and the day I got home, I decided to go for a bike ride. So I was fully recovered, feet recovered, everything. 5 days later, 120K bike ride. Yeah, so metabolism, I would say, I don't know, a while. My metabolism's kept going for a while. Yes?
How did sleeping work? Did you have to sleep in the same clothes?
So I changed my underwear once, because that's really what you want to know. So I changed my underwear once because there's really no point to it. So we slept in sleeping bags, but we put a polar fleece sleeping bag over top first, and that would cinch up around our neck. And so the rule was you wanted it tight enough that wind didn't go through, but not so tight that you didn't wake up the next morning. And so we'd have the polar fleece bag on, and then we'd do a mummy sleeping bag. And so the mummy sleeping bag would come up, and then one cinch would come up around my chest, and then the other cinch would come up around here. And that's all that was exposed at night. I had to make sure my nose and my mouth were exposed and not in my sleeping bag, because there's so much moisture that comes from your breath that if you do it in your sleeping bag, you wake up in a soaking wet sleeping bag, and what happens when water hits cold temperatures? It's not a pretty thing. So we had to make sure that all the breath was going out, and then we line our sleeping bag with all of our mitts, our gloves, everything. So when we got into the tent is not warm. I wore basically all my layers. And while I was racing, I wore long johns and a windbreaker. That's it. Okay? Long johns and a windbreaker. That's all I was allowed to wear while racing. And that's because I didn't want to sweat. You got it. I didn't want to sweat. The second you sweat, the second you stop, that sweat turns to ice, and ice is cold and not fun to have on your body. I made that mistake not once but twice. I learned things the hard way. And so one day I was racing along, going faster, forgot to open up my wind vents and got really sweaty, had to slow down to wait for Lee to catch up because I wasn't going to let her die. And I froze up, and I was solid ice all day because you cannot take off your clothing to switch it. So I had 2 sets of long underwear. I changed them once halfway through. There was really no purpose to that whatsoever because the second I put on the new pair, they were just as smelly as the old pair. I tried to think I didn't smell it. We tried to blame it all on Lee, but she kind of decided that it was me and Rob. Whatever. But yeah, no, we didn't change. Whatever we had on was basically what we had on for the entire race. The only thing I did switch up every day, though I only brought 2 pairs, but I alternated them every day, was my socks. Because that's just one area that I had to be very cautious with, and everybody had to be cautious with. We had 2 sets of everything just in case we lost, except for our big parka and our windbreaker. Those we only had 1 set of, but all our underlayers we basically had 2 sets of. And we didn't change. We slept all in the same direction. Oh, sorry. We did head to toe. So 2 people would be here and 1 would be here. 2 would be against the doors. I was always against 1 door, and that was the rifle door. Rob always got the coldest at night, so he liked the middle spot, so that way he could stay warm. And Lee took the other door, which was the cooking door, because she was the first one up in the morning. She cooked. And she was also who cooked at night, so she was the last one to shut down and the first one to wake up. And so she was always on the cooking door. And we slept very little. We slept very, very well, the very little we slept. You know, you'd go out and you'd be like, done, right? But I slept 4 to 6 hours a night. That was about it. My longest sleep was 6 hours. Because it was a race. We had to get out there and we had to go. It was 14 hours of racing, 6 hours of tearing down, setting up, making our food, all that sort of stuff. That left 4 hours for sleep. And I paid $50,000 to do that. Yeah, learn from me. Yes?
What was the motivation for others?
Okay, so we all had our various reasons. Mine was I wanted to succeed in business, but I also had an underlying factor which I raised a lot of money and a lot of awareness around childhood obesity. It's a huge epidemic here in Canada, especially. 1/3 of all our children are obese or overweight. And so I now have the opportunity to go in schools and I wear my polar race gear and I teach kids that they can go out and do anything they want to. Lee's motivation behind it was she thought she was going to get a promotion for it. Deloitte was the company that she worked for, and she was in the green living space, so we tagged our team Leave No Footprints, meaning, you know, eco footprints, so we were totally eco-friendly the entire way. We left no trash behind. Actually, if you left trash behind, you were disqualified or penalized because we didn't want to leave any trace. And so she thought she'd do it for a promotion. She got a promotion. She also had a mental breakdown, so I don't know what was, you know. Rob did it because I don't even actually know to this day what Rob's motivation was behind it. Each of us had our own motivation as to why. Mine was to gain my confidence back and to inspire others. And that's why I've gone out and done other stuff. You know, I did a 1,200K bike ride recently to raise money again for keeping kids active and keeping programs going within Canada to keep kids active. It was supposed to be 1,900 kilometers. My knee went out, so I will be reattempting that. If you want, RyanMalfara.com. You're welcome to sign up and wait for my updates. I'll be doing another 1,900 kilometer bike ride. But I was also talking, you know, the biggest question I get is, what is your next challenge? My next challenge is I'm going to live my life and go out and have fun, and that's what I've been doing. I had to take 6 months off to train for this, and that was my entire life, and that's a lot. It's a total commitment in order to do that, and I'd rather, you know, go out and just be able to live my life, enjoy, have business, and do stuff like that, and you can't when you're getting ready for big challenges. Yes?
Was Lee one of the 5 left behind?
Yes. Yeah, she was 4th in line, so she would have been the next one on the plane. She said she watched us take off. Yeah, yeah. She said she was on the tip of the runway and watched us take off.
And it was after that
she had a really, really tough time with it. She's South African, and so I go back to this. Lee wasn't mentally very strong. She didn't believe that she deserved to win. She didn't just think that she deserved to be there, and so then her company went and flew her around the world to give speeches, to talk about how incredible it was. She met Michelle Obama, she traveled the world to talk about winning the polar race, and she felt a bit like a fraud because she felt like it was Rob and I who got her to the North Pole. Needless to say, we didn't feel that way. Every single team member was worth something. And, you know, I'm going to say the joke, but, you know, if she didn't cook for us, we wouldn't have been able to survive, right? Like, it wouldn't have happened, but, no. I mean, everybody had their role, and so that was one of her main priorities, is to make sure that the food was totally taken care of. And that was huge, because I wouldn't have woken up early to do that. I was the last to get up in the mornings. I was terrified every morning. I sat in my tent, in my sleeping bag, listening to the rest of them going, I'm so scared about today. Like, I don't know what today brings. I'm terrified. And then I opened up that sleeping bag, and I just faced the day head on, because that's the only choice I had. I couldn't just lay there. I had to just face it head on. And so I was the last to get up every morning, but I was the first out of the tent, and I was the first to leave the race for the entire morning, every single day. Yes? Yeah, bragging rights. I told you. I get to be here. I get to say I won. Yay! No. Yeah, it's called the Polar Race. There is an organization behind it. I just recently went out with the race organizer. It was the first time I'd seen him since the race. And the gift that he gave me was the bill. So, for dinner, right? So he was like, congratulations on a race well won. Here's the bill. You've done well for yourself. Enjoy. You bought me dinner tonight. So, no, I was happy to do it. I have done well for myself, but no, there was nothing. Yeah. The biggest reward my biggest reward is inspiring others and going into schools and classrooms and letting kids try on my polar race gear. My mitts are enormous, and they put them on and they have a great time, and it's a lot of fun.
I'm sure that's bigger than what we get.
Far bigger. far bigger. I mean, you know, I also earned the right to earn back that money. I had to borrow money, I was in debt. 6 months after I finished the race to the North Pole, every single penny of my debt was paid off. My mindset was totally different. I went from being almost $80,000 in debt to totally debt-free within 6 months. My mindset was different. And no gift, no trophy, no reward is bigger than that. Bigger than knowing that I am responsible for my own success and that there are many, many people out there willing to help me to get there. And the same is true for everyone. I'm no different. Yeah. Any more?
Quickly,
Mm-hmm.
team selection.
Team selection. Whoever could afford the price, here you go, that's your team. That's pretty much it. I mean, so there were very few racers in our year, and so one team got very quickly, they were like, oh, you're strong, we're a team. And I was the last to join in, so they said, here's your team, have fun. That was team selection. Yeah, it was really yeah. At one point we were 4 members, and one of our members, we went to do some training in Wales, and we had, now I'm not saying, I mean the eldest person to do this was in their late 60s, early 70s, so I'm not saying you can't do it at an older age, but we had one team member who was supposed to be a team member who was in his late 60s, and I scared him during the training. And he dropped out shortly after that, and that was the best gift he could have ever given me. So, but yes, no, it was grueling. He just had a lot of money, and he was like, I can do anything. So, and he's like, we were like, you're gonna train, right? He's like, nah, I can do anything. I was a Marine, and I was like, oh man, this is not gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to drag his body behind me. And so he did drop out. It's grueling. So it's just. Whoever was there. Good.
My name's Jenna. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams. I don't know if you know as much
Yes.
about
Yes, I do.
their company.
Oh,
so
very
they
well.
always ask what your big why is. Why you, and not about the trip. I'm more interested in knowing on a business perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What's your big why when it comes to business? Why are you doing all this? What's your goal in the end?
Exactly. It really does go back to the race. I do business the same reason I do the race. My primary focus is I'm a business consultant. I work with business owners all over the world. I literally fly all over the world to work with business owners. Last week I was in South Africa, I was in London, and I was in Amsterdam. London was amazing. I went to go watch the Tour de France, and you know, I live a very fun life right now. And the reason I live a rewarding life is because I'm able to help people in their businesses. And so I'm able to live through my own actions to inspire others. And through that, I can have a huge, huge impact on others. And for me, there's no greater gift. There really isn't. I stand and I use this as an example. I'm always so frustrated that, you know, I turned 30 June 24th. So yeah, I just turned 30. And so I'm always just so shocked when I meet somebody who's well-educated, who's got a career like none other underneath their belt, and who's having the toughest time just plugging through, trying to survive. And here I am, you know, and excuse me, but a snot-nosed kid making great amounts of money simply because I surround myself with great people and I choose to live my life in a way where I can give as much as possible. I do a lot for charity. It's very rewarding to me to give my time, to give my money. You know, the bike race to all of Yonge Street, 1,900 kilometers, cost me $30,000 to do, personal money. I wanted to make sure that in my own foundation, we had 0 costs. Every single money was donated to charity, and so we raised lots of money, and every single penny of it went to charity because I personally took on every cost. I love that, and I have the opportunity to do that now because I believe in myself, and I surround myself with others who believe in me also. So my why is to inspire. It's a lot of fun. No problem.
Ryan gets to do some pretty cool stuff. He's organizing a conference that's going to be held at the end of October, and when we were on the boat today, he was We're going over the various negotiations that are going on with the agents for Al Pacino and Sylvester Stallone and a few other notable names. So he gets to do some pretty cool stuff.
Have fun. So Sylvester Stallone's going to be cool. Rocky, I mean, come on. I can't praise for that one. Yeah. So it's rewarding, it's giving, and it's my greatest gift to be able to find somebody who isn't earning their full potential and give them 1 or 2 nuggets to say, this is how you raise yourself to the next level. Just, I'll put it out there. If you ever want, my email is ryan@ryanmalfara.com. It's super easy. Email me as much as you want. It goes directly to my phone. I have one request that's 6 lines or less, and I can answer it in 1 line. As long as you follow that format, I'll answer any email you want. Okay? 6 lines or less, 1 line I can respond in. Cool, that's what I live by. Yeah, anything else? No? Good. Yes.
You were saying one of the things that's gratifying things to inspire.
Yeah.
And that suggests to me by setting the example.
Mm-hmm.
When you're working with people, do you actually evaluate them first? In other words, to try and identify what their weakness is so you can then inspire.
So I would say one of my gifts is that I am able to evaluate a person almost instantly. I'll have a conversation with you and I don't need to do hours of research. I can come in within a couple of minutes and figure out where your weaknesses are in your business, where you should spend your energy and your time and your effort, and how to move yourself forward. Who do you need to delegate what to, and what should you be doing yourself? I don't, I say my why is to inspire. I don't go out with the vision of always, hey, look at me. No. It's how can I get people to move faster and better than they did before. And sometimes I need to do that by setting an example, and sometimes I need to do that by giving them a kick in the butt and saying, look, this is what you need to do. It's not always about the look at me. In fact, I've pretty much given up Facebook, Instagram. As much as I love that stuff, it became too boastful for me, and it wasn't going in the right direction, and so that's not why I live my life. I live my life to have others succeed. And as a result of them succeeding, I keep up with them. So I use the example of I find somebody who's going out there to succeed, and I hang on to their coattails, and I run like crazy. Because if I just hang on, they're going to shed their jacket. But if I'm running like crazy, then I'm able to keep up with them. So I look for those who have done it before. Okay. Oh, got one more.
Would it be fair to say that your coaching is more based on leadership characteristics and performance than business management?
No, not at all. I mean, the company that I run right now is a $10 million a year company. It's not my own, but I run it for an organization. So I run a fairly significant staff. I've had several of my own businesses, so I wouldn't say it's fair to say it's mindset and leadership only. It's very much branding, marketing, and how to run and structure a business. Yeah. Okay. Guys, any other questions? I'm around. Please feel free to come and ask me. And yeah.
Ryan Malfara, everyone. I wanted to take a couple of minutes and make a couple of announcements. We've had 2 changes in the executive that I'd like to let you know about. First is Chris Beaudry has had to step down. He's got a health issue in his family, and so he's had to step down. The board met last month, and we've appointed Claude Guillaume as the new treasurer, so welcome, Claude. And second is Tony Miller has had a number of shifts in his business that have necessitated him to step aside. So we've appointed Lisa Sabatini as the new membership coordinator. Welcome, Lisa. And I don't know if you can feel it. I know from having met with the team, it's a very cohesive group. Even to pull off an evening like this evening that has gone extremely smoothly, with a lot of first-timers doing things like literally on on a very, very short notice. It's been really well put together. So thank you to all of the executive for pulling together and putting together a great event for this evening. Couple of other things. If you remember at the last event, or at the last Oreio meeting, we had a number of surveys that we handed around specifically to talk about special interest groups. And so I'd like to share those results with you. Lots of great feedback, lots of interest in volunteering. The number one group number one special interest group was multifamily. So we'll be spinning up a multifamily residential special interest group. Second was raising capital. Third was rent to own. Correct? Yeah. And what was number 4? That was actually part of raising capital. Sorry? That was, I think we left that under multifamily.
I think the fourth was actually high from 3 different. They were all local.
I can't remember what the fourth one was. Shoot, that's terrible. Anyway, at the next meeting in September, we'll be actually talking about the operation of special interest groups. We have volunteers for a couple of them. If you are interested in taking a leadership role in leading one of the special interest groups, come approach me or one of the members of the executive. We'll let you know what that entails. It really entails leading the group on a monthly basis. And ideally, we'd like 2 leaders per group so that you actually have a little bit of a mini leadership team. And we're going to be putting a little bit of a structure around it, a bit of a process around it, so that all of the subgroups operate in a consistent manner, consistent with the values of Oreio, make sure that there's some basic rules that are being followed and so on, so there aren't any conflicts of interest, that sort of thing. And the focus is on making it an educational, mastermind-like experience for all of those that participate. Okay? So, flips and rehabs, thank you, that was number 4. Okay? So we're not gonna roll them out all at once, all in one day. We'll be starting with multifamily as the first one, and then we'll progressively roll them out over the course of the next quarter. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I think it's going to be a great educational opportunity for anyone who's interested in that specific special interest group. Okay? Again, thank you everyone for coming out. Take the time for the rest of the evening to network. We've got a draw to give away a free membership. So come on, Cedric. If your number is 659343. So that'll entitle you to a free membership. So if you've already just paid your membership, we'll figure out how to get you reimbursed. So you can go see Lisa, and we'll get that taken care of.
Okay, thank you, Cedric, for putting in my hands 5 tickets. You know you want that. And I may as well thank everybody here because I think a part of that belongs to everybody because we're paying over commercial. Thank you, everybody.
So take the time to network, meet somebody you haven't met before, get some deals done, and we will see you in September. Have a good evening.